Here again. Welcome to part 5 of 1 in a Million. We've kind of covered some things, kind of generic in relative to what's been going on with very little evidence, some but very little. So 2010, as I said, was really a busy year. Getting the statement of claim falsified by Dr. Quasman and Jeffrey McAdams, Service Center Manager for the Phoenix VA, was bad enough. We also had the claim in for the diabetes. We also had a claim in for the right shoulder, which is what Dr. Kennedy had examined back in 2009. So it's kind of tough to tell just what's going on here with all this. After I got the statement of claim in August 11th, I had put together a letter, my minutes of the DRO hearing, the day after the DRO hearing, which was the 28th of September, and I think I did my letter on the 29th of September of 2009. This letter basically is my minutes, and at the end of it I basically had written down what was discussed in the informal portion, the portion before the formal hearing, when it started, which is like a deposition, and then after Mrs. Dingfield turned off the recorder, the formal hearing was over, we discussed further things. And so I kind of put those in, and I've written those on my minutes, and I took the copy of these minutes into the DAV, which resides in the same building as the VA, and I talked to Danny Soto, who had been my advocate during the time that Ricardo Renteria was off on his extended medical leave. Ricardo was out sick, is the only reason I see Danny on this day. And Danny and I talk, and we talk about my diabetes claim, for one. We talk about the letter. I'll get to that in a minute. But we talk about my diabetes claim, which has been in there for some time now. Actually, this all started with the initial claim back in 2005, was denied for the first time in July of 2005. So Danny will call upstairs. He gets on the computer and he looks at it, and there's nothing there. So he calls upstairs and he talks to a person in the VA, and they basically say they can't find it, it's not in work. So he asks them to take a look for it as somebody that he knows and trusts, and they say they'll do that. So on the shoulder, he says it's just not being worked, and it might be because they're working the major claim, and they're also working the diabetes. The next thing we understand is we talk about the letter. Now Danny tells me that he's pretty sure that Ricardo would not be allowed to sign this letter, but there's no reason why he couldn't verbally agree with it. And so he will leave the letter for Danny, who should show up, or I'm sorry, for Ricardo, who should return to work either Thursday, the next day, or Friday. And I said that'd be fine, so I leave. Monday I call, actually what I should say is Saturday. That Saturday I get a letter from Danny Soto from the DAV, and that letter is basically telling me that he's had to resubmit the diabetes information to the VA, including the letter from Dr. Jacobson stating that I was diabetic on whatever it was, May 2nd or whatever it was in 2003. The date slipped my mind for a moment here. But the important thing was that he had to resend this information to the VA. They had lost the information relative to the diabetes claim again. So, and I'd given it to him once before too, so this is the third time they've been given this information. Monday, I call to talk to Ricardo. I didn't call Thursday or Friday because I thought, well, if he's been out sick for a week, he kind of needs to get back in, kind of get his feet back on the ground. I know he's still recovering from his major medical leave of absence, so he's probably pretty busy. So Monday I call. The receptionist says Ricardo is available, he's there, but he's with a veteran at the time, so of course we can't interrupt him. So I asked her to have Ricardo call me at his earliest convenience, which is typical what we do. Ricardo is really good about answering returning calls. Tuesday, I go to the FBI. I'm just kind of tired of this, so I talked to an agent by the name of Kurt. Now, I don't know if you've been to the FBI. It's not like on TV. the building that our FBI is in Phoenix is kind of an obscure area. It's not around a bunch of other government buildings. You have to park across the street unless you're handicapped like I am. Then you get to park back behind the building in one of their lots where they keep their cars. It's gated, armed guard. Then you can walk around the block, and because the front entrance is a long ways away. When you go in, you see a guard. It looks like an airport security system. You got to go through the metal detectors and all this stuff, and they want to see your identification. It's not like you're voting. You actually have to prove who you are. Then you walk down this hall and you come to this other area, which is basically just another hallway. It's an intersecting hallway. It's kind of like a T. And across to the right are doors going into rooms, but off to the left is this huge glass panel, bulletproof glass. Behind it are these employees of the FBI, the receptionist and whatever they do. And then to get something to them or from them, they have one of these drawers like you have at a drive-in teller from your bank. So they're pretty secure. So I fill out a form, tell them why I'm there. Basically, they take my driver's license and get a copy of it. And excuse me, and you know you're being videoed. It's pretty obvious. And eventually this one door opens up, and I'm the only person there outside. Just me and the guard. And a young man basically asked me to come in. His name is Kurt with a K, K-U-R-T. So I take about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I go through this information. I have a stack of paper. I have a flashcard with my entire VA file on it. Trying to give evidence to the FBI is like trying to pass a plate of broccoli to George Bush the First. They don't want it. I mean, in fact, when I did show him one form that basically lists all of the Code 38 violations of Dr. Quasman, he looked at it, and then he says, "Who made this?" And I said, "Well, I did." And he says, "Well, I don't want it." He would not keep anything. That's their policy, I find out. He takes a lot of notes, and then finally the meeting's over and I leave. Friday, he calls me, the FBI agent, Kurt with a K. Well, let me step back a moment. That's on Tuesday. Let me back up a minute. Wednesday, I call the DAV because I haven't heard from Ricardo. And the same young lady I talked to on Monday will tell me that when I asked for Ricardo that he's no longer with the company. I said, well, but I called Monday and you said he was there, he was working, but he was with another veteran. She said, yeah, I don't know what happened. She said, he disappeared either Monday or Tuesday and nobody wants to talk, nobody's allowed to talk about it. So I asked her to have Danny give me a call. Left a message. And maybe I can talk to Danny Soto and find out what's going on. Friday I get a call from Kurt with the FBI, Kurt with a K, and he has questions for me, just general questions. He took a lot of notes, but his notes were kind of scattered all over a piece of paper, so he wanted to know exactly when I was injured, where I was injured. Then finally he says, well, this is just about money, isn't it? And I'm dumbfounded. I said, no, this is about government employees violating the law to deny veterans their benefits. He said, but you get money. I said, well, it's kind of late for them to treat me. They didn't do that for 41 years before my surgery. So all that's left is compensation. You know, it's what it's for. Because it costs a lot of money to be 100% disabled and have to hire people to do things that you normally do or did. But he said, you do get compensation now, right? I said, yeah, I get 10% for 100% disability, you know, which was determined by Social Security. He said, so you want more money? And I said, yeah, I guess, you know, it would amount to more money, yes. So it's just about money. I said, no, where are you getting off on this? This, you know, disability is not like welfare or something else. This is part of a contract with the military and the government that if you're injured while on duty, you deserve care by the Veterans Administration, and if you're disabled, you get veterans disability. So it's about money. I'm thinking, oh, this is going nowhere. So anyway, on the next chapter, I'm going to try and discuss kind of how this went and some more happenings of 2010, especially with the VA. So thanks for watching. Please share this with your friends, fellow veterans, veterans you know, and please leave comments if you have any, and I hope you tune in for Chapter 6, Part 6 of 1 to Million. Thanks again for watching.